So today we out at 1724 pouring this concrete slab. You'll see the guys that already shot and poured all of the forms. So all around the edge of the house, which is called our footers, they've already poured concrete all the way around. They've already made up the garage, and people probably asking, well, why did they do the garage right now? So basically we did the garage right now because the garage sinks in 4 inches. So it'll be 4 inches below the slab of the house. So we went ahead and formed that up. And once that's set up and dry, as we're starting to pour the slab of the house, we'll go ahead and remove those form boards and then go ahead and finish off the garage, because we got a 2% slope on the garage, and it'll be 4 inches lower than a grade or the finished floor of the house. So you can see they already started going around and they already started smoothing out. And basically what they're doing, everywhere that the forms need to be removed because it's a recess or a drop down, they're going to go ahead and get that set up so that concrete can start curing in place, i.e. drying. All right. So here we got a concrete pour. We got 40 yards coming. Right now we're on our second truck, which is 20 yards. This is what's called the boom pump. Looks like a crane, but it's not really a crane. That concrete's getting pumped into the back of that truck, and then it's getting pumped through this hose all the way down into this slab. So the guys are working this concrete. They should be done in about 2-3 hours max. Weather holds off, sun comes out, might dry a little bit quicker, but that's pretty much what we got going on here. This is concrete day. This is where the money's being made. Pouring slabs. Everything else is all preliminary work until we get here. This is the real meat and potatoes, the structure of the house. This is the day you either make money or you lose money. Every truck you see pull up here is basically $2,200. That pump sitting there is about $1,500 to $2,000. So it's real important that everything here is done right. Everything's done efficiently. I like to be here on pour day. I like to make sure the guys got started right. I like to make sure the guys got everything they need. I like to make sure that we're not wasting money and spending our money where it needs to be spent. And that's in concrete day. All right. So we worked hard all this time just to get to this day where we can pour concrete, get this slab. Everything else goes fast and easy from this point forward. Yeah, concrete day, baby. Where money's being made or the money's being lost. The thing I want to bring up here is this outfit's not my outfit. These are not my Turner guys. What I did for this project is I subbed out the entire shell of the house. Most people say, well, what does that mean and why did you do that? Well, I'll start with what does that mean? So I'm a general contractor, so I can build this house from ground up. However, there's shell companies, and what the shell companies do is they're just responsible for the shell of the house. So they don't work with interior, they don't work with the flooring, they don't work with the cabinets or the drywall. What they do is come in and put up the structure. So they go ahead, once the site's prepared, they dig everything in, they set up the rebar and plastic, compact everything the best. They pour the concrete, they frame the house, and they frame the roof, and they're done. What they give you is a shell. You can go ahead and beautify that shell however you want to, but they just do the shell. So on this project in particular, this is the first one I'm doing with them. They're Southeast Shell. They kind of do all of your big builders, Pulte, Lennars. They come in and they do the shells, and then Lennar bring their guys in, which are the subcontractors, to build it. Then the next question is, well, why? Why did I use a shell company now? So, as you know, things are getting a little tougher in the economy, and we got to move with it. Since these shell companies does thousands to 2,000 homes a year, sometimes their prices are a little bit different, or a little bit lower than my prices. As you know, I'm more of a small to medium builder, and we probably do 20 to 40 houses a year. So they're able to get the prices down. But the main key is they manage their own projects. So I can come out of the ground and not have to manage this project for the 3 to 4 months that's needed. These guys come in and put this shell up, which is the more time-consuming part, but they got it down to a science. They got it down to a specific timing and steps, so where it's a little bit easier for them. So we use them this time. We'll probably be using them more often, but basically the reason why I did it is the prices are a little bit lower and I don't have to manage the project as I do if it was my own. So they take care of the shell. Yes, I still show up on pour day. Yes, I still make sure everything's being done the way it's supposed to be done. But, sometimes shell contracting is the way to go. So this is a shell company, and they're getting things done for us. We're still going to stay in budget. We're still going to make things happen. It's about 13 currently, because we're doing a one-off. Like I said, we're doing infill lots. So because it's a one-off, we're only about 8 to 12% savings on this particular project. But if I have multiple projects lined up the way I typically do, and we were pouring 2 to 3 slabs at one time, we'll probably be somewhere around 18 to 22% worth of cost savings for the project. So totally worth it to have a shell company. Even if you don't use them all the time, it's good to have a relationship. So when you start building those multiple homes back to back to back, they can come in, they're more efficient, they're already set up for it. They have trade and labor that's going to show up on time. They're responsible for it. So it's okay to shift the responsibility of a project onto your trades, onto your subcontractors, and still make the same profit or even more. You see one of the guys with a meter on a stick, and basically you see this little machine that's set up, this little yellow. This is called the laser level. So no matter where they are within about a 500 feet radius, this machine will go ahead and let them know what's grade, what's level. So it's set at the beginning of the job to show what is level. It's self-level, auto levels itself. And as they go, they can always just pull out that stick to see if they're on grade, if what they're doing is leveled and complete. So efficiency. The old school way of, a bubble level is kind of gone away a little bit in these instances because setting that level might be a little bit more task. At this point with what they're doing, they can drop that and it goes off and beep and let them know they're on grade consistently throughout the whole project. So this whole house is leveled using the same technology. For the most part, we've already had our inspection with the rebar. We've made sure that the rebar is set up at the correct spacing. We've made sure the rebar is tied in the ground, that it has a proper 4-inch clearance from the natural ground to make sure concrete is all around the rebar. What you see here is our L bars, our dowels that'll go up through the masonry block. And so what I'm coming out to make sure of when I get here in the morning is that proper spacing is there. Dirt did not fall into the footers. I'm looking at the plumbing to make sure the plumbing pipes are still directly where they're supposed to be. None are broken or ground, i.e. going to be poured solid in place. What I'm looking at once they're done is I'm looking for a flat, smooth surface. We don't want it to be too smooth if we're doing tile, so we can rough it up a little bit. But I want it pretty smooth enough so whereby there's no bumps, whether we go with vinyl material or a ceramic or porcelain material, we still got a good foundation. The main thing I'm looking for, though, in the structural integrity is I'm making sure my footers are poured solid. I don't want any dirt in my footers. I don't want any collapsing. I don't want any bubbles. I want to make sure our concrete has had time to cure properly, and we can get our full strength. So that's the main thing I'm looking at right now. Nice, consistent flow of concrete. So good question. So all concrete have what we call a PSI. So basically the PSI is basically the strength of the concrete, or the strength that you'll get after the concrete is poured. So in most cases, you got two options when building. You can pick it. It's all depending on your engineer. For this project, you'll see that there's not rebar or any wire mesh on top of the slab. What I typically do, or what the engineer called for also, and it's based on my request, is in the concrete, we have what's called fiber mesh. So it's a 3,500 PSI concrete, and within the concrete, we've added fiber mesh. So little strings of fiber that act as rebar in layman's terms, because it helps keep that concrete stronger. Think about it like fiberglass being mixed in with concrete. to make that concrete even stronger. So that's what we did here. We got a 3,500 PSI concrete mix, and we also have fiber mesh in the midst of it. And what that does is that eliminate the need for us to have to put wire mesh, checkerboard wire throughout the concrete slab to strengthen it up. So wire mesh is not a location thing. It's more of an engineering design thing. So you can use that philosophy or that type of material, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in Georgia, or whatever. It just depends on what the design structure called for in your certain area. But typically it's always a choice here in Florida, whether we're going to do fiber mesh or wire mesh. If we're doing this ourselves, then, our numbers are good for the next 30 to 60 days. With the shell company doing the amount of volume they do, they pretty much get a little bit better rate. And not only better rate, their prices are a little bit more set, if you will. So they may have a contract with, the A1 Block, who's our concrete supplier on this job. They may have a 6-month lock-in rate with them, at, let's just say 210 or 205 a yard. Versus mine probably will fluctuate within 30 days. And so if we got held up on permitting and it took an additional 3 months to get to this point where we can pour concrete, my price may have went up 8 to 10% on concrete, that is. That can definitely mess up a project, Right now we got tariffs coming out. Tariffs will probably ruin our industry a little bit. And I say ruin, but what I really mean is blow our budgets. Because we have these set budgets set up. And now if we're talking about projects that I've already signed contracts for or already put in works, and now we've just been hit with 25% tariff increases. So all of our material may go up on that project, if not at the most, 25%. And so if you think about you have 100,000, let's just say round numbers, you got $100,000 job, that $100,000 job or project just went up to $125,000. So if you were at, 50% or I'll say 30% margins or $50,000 return on your investment, now you're going to be down half of that. So if you're planning on making $50,000, you're now only going to make $25,000 on a project of that scale. So it's a pretty big jump. It could impact a project, pretty big. But going through it with a shell company will help reduce and eliminate that. I want the tape to separate. What this tape does and what this plastic does is this is a moisture barrier. So what it does, it allows or keeps the moisture that's in the ground and doesn't let it penetrate up through the concrete. Rips here and there, as long as they're smaller than 2 inches, are not bad. But we definitely don't want 2 feet of the tape to be unseen.